Calm down, boom chicka wow. All right, go on then.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Polyhedron Collider Cast, episode 143. I'm Steve Tudor.
Oh, I'm Andy Lewis.
I'm Sid Gill.
And I'm Rory Summers with breaking news. No, we now need a breaking news jingle, Steve.
I need to pull that out. Yeah, I'm going to pull out John's News Ferret one from about 3 years ago.
Of course, yeah, we can just reuse that one. Breaking news, gentlemen, ladies, boys and girls. Polyhedron Collider is now in the big leagues of sponsorship. We are now sponsored, very kindly, by the good folks at Kienda.
Ooh, it's very nice
right.
of them.
That's right, yeah.
Have they listened to the show?
I was going to say, did they get the Office Junior to sign that off or something? Someone who doesn't know any better.
They mix us up with somebody else.
So when this goes out, it will go out and there'll be a QR code that goes along with it. So our listeners can now bag themselves a wee little discount when they sign up to a Kienda account and make their board game purchases. And let's face it, if you're listening to this, chances are you're going to buy a board game in the very near future. So this way, buy yourself a board game through Kienda and get a little discount, and it'll help support us, support them, support you. Everybody's happy, everybody wins, and everybody gets a board game.
I like that.
Yeah. It's a solid plan.
So that's it. There'll be more information, but look to the social medias for that. And next time you want to buy a board game, have a look there.
I need to poke further now.
Right.
Oh dear.
Sponsorship.
Yeah.
Like in sports.
Yeah. Yeah, we're like a sports team.
Oh no, actually,
Sports ball.
I'll tell you where my mind has gone on this one, Rory.
Right.
Here we go. I'm not sure we want to know this.
In various sporty activities.
Strap yourselves in.
Right, hold on tight, but
Yeah, please use small words because I don't do sports.
Lamsip, right? So this could be a good one. In lots of sports, they sell bits of t-shirt and clothing or parts of the body or parts of the car
Right.
as sponsorship. Does this open the door to me selling bits of my body for the next time we're at, like, Expo?
I mean, I can
Like,
email
not for people's
them.
sponsorship, not for weird stuff, Steve.
Like selling a kidney to buy a board game or a bit of car.
Not for weird stuff. Well, I was thinking, if you sponsor, depending on the size of your logo and where it is, would be a different price.
Right. Okay.
So
I mean, I can let them know.
You should let them know.
Get the Office Junior to sign off on that.
Left arm could be like a pack of Jaffa cakes.
Right. Okay.
I see you're really driving a hard bargain there. A bag of biscuits for an
I
arm.
think that tells you more about my self-worth than anything else.
It does.
Right, so we're not even going for board game related sponsorship, just stuff that Sid likes.
Well,
Sid just wants a pack of Jaffa cakes is what I'm getting from this.
I do like Jaffa cake. Now, the real question, and this is maybe one we leave to the listeners, is which bit would I sell for a packet of hobnobs?
Plain or chocolate?
Dark or milk as well. I mean, these are real questions that people are asking.
Really important questions. Milk chocolate.
See, it's your prime real estate, isn't it? So if you think, is your prime real estate at Expo, you're back while you're sitting there playing games and people wander past? Or is it your front because that's what everyone will see when they see the photographs on the socials?
That's a good point.
That's a very good point.
See, my brain says the back because most of your day at Expo is going to be sitting at a table doing a demo game, so you'll be leaning over with the back visible. But then you've got to make sure, to maximise your sponsorship opportunities. In the same way that Formula One drivers take off their expensive watch and hold it in their hands so everyone can see, it means that no matter what game we're playing, we have to make sure that you're back facing the aisle.
That's a good point.
I can work with this. I mean, there's some mileage in this because it's not just t-shirts we could use. I could have pajamas.
You're not. No.
Who's going to see you in your pyjamas?
Tracksuit bottoms.
Steve nearly lost his drink.
Other than us poor four unfortunate souls.
It's like the Formula One drivers. As like Steve says, they take off their big fancy jacket, and there's like different points of the day where they'd have to like take the jacket off.
Sid, if I'm ever playing a game with you while you start taking your clothes off, I'm out the door, mate.
Seconded.
All I'm asking is, can we get in touch with the Office Junior and find out whether there's any opportunity
You say
in
this, and I know you're kidding. I know you're kidding, but I am now a little bit tempted.
I'm not kidding. I'm deadly serious.
To drop like Brewdog a line and see if they want to sponsor us as well.
If
Sponsor our
Brewdog want to
shirts.
sponsor this little ramshackle shit show.
To be fair, I am no stranger to Brewdog's products. I'm not going to lie.
Neither am I.
I do enjoy their products.
That's why I think it might be a win. I'll see if I can get hold of their Office Junior. I'll have a look on LinkedIn and see what I can find.
But you know what I'm saying, right? Is there's quite a lot of me at the moment. There's more than normal, right?
Are you suggesting that the price of your belly could go up as well as down?
I'm just saying that when I'm a bit chunkier, like I am right now, right? There's even more space available,
Nice.
right?
No, what we need is you need to get like some really like local dodgy like stuff, you know, like I don't know, Williams Scrap Metal Merchants or something like that, you know.
Yeah. GNS scrap on the back somewhere, or left arm.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. If you're a publisher, board game designer, or just business owner, and you want to sponsor a bit of Sid, we've got at the moment we've got front t-shirt, back and t-shirt, arms, possible hat. Though Sid doesn't wear a hat very often.
No, I don't wear a hat.
Yeah, so I reckon it's just a t-shirt, isn't it? I mean,
I reckon
Just tattoo it onto his scalp.
No, that's a bit Hitman, that, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, the price of that would be.
I reckon upper back, right?
Is that pre-shaved or shaved?
Not the t-shirt, you weirdo. I'm going to get
Shave it into his body hair.
into my body.
And then once it's grown out, then you have to re-sponsor him.
I mean, there's another business.
Guys, can we move on, please? Can we talk about some board games now?
Yeah, that's a fair shout. I think we've gone down a rabbit hole here that I don't think we can escape from. It's going to leave indelible stains on everybody's brain.
Yeah, my eyes hurt just thinking about it.
In other news, we will be heading to Aircon very soon.
Who are?
I think it's like 4 weeks' time, actually. I'm actually going to Aircon. I haven't been to Aircon since the year the plague started.
No, you haven't, you goddamn slackers.
I haven't had the opportunity to. So I'm actually going to be there the entire time this year.
Lucky devil.
14th to 17th of March. I'm going to be there. Andy's going to be there. And I know Sid's going to be there because my wife has started organising things along with Sid's wife.
I'm just a
so
passenger.
I believe
That's always dangerous.
meals have been booked. Hotels have been booked. We've got no clue. We're just being ferried
Meals
from one
have
place to
been
another.
booked. Places to go. Days out. Toilet breaks have been booked.
Apparently, Sid, we're going to a brewery.
I heard there was a brewery. There's a rumor of a brewery. I like that. That's after this.
I don't think they realise what they've set themselves up for, do they?
Brewery? At a gaming convention? Surely not. That's just time wasting, boys.
It depends whether you take a game
You're
with
going
you
to
or
be
not.
really torn for choices there, aren't you, boys?
Yeah. So yes, 14th to 17th of March, the Harrogate Convention Centre. We will be there. I'd like to say we are the biggest celebrity going, but we are not by an absolute long shot, because of course Rodney and the entire Watch It Played crew are going to be there. I believe Dice Tower are going to be there. I understand that Duncan Rhodes Painting will be there.
Do you know what I'm going to wear? I'm going to put on 2 thin coats to see if he notices.
As long as you can still see our sponsorship, mate.
I don't get that reference at all.
Duncan Rhodes is very famous for saying that instead of putting on 1 fat coat of paint, you thin your paints and put 2 thin on because it's better, because you preserve the detail on the model. But he's also released a paint range called 2 Thin Coats because of that.
Yeah, he's a GW painter that used to do YouTube videos for Games Workshop. And because you're teaching very much beginners, it was his catchphrase, 2 thin coats, putting your base layers on.
Right, okay. With you.
But I believe he's doing some kind of painting demos there as well, so...
I understand that is the case, yes. I might get in on that.
Yes.
That's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, we may be doing something live. I say may because it hasn't been 100% confirmed yet, but we promise that if it is happening, we'll let you know in the next podcast episode, and we absolutely promise we'll be there this time.
Yes, we will.
Previous Aircon delegates will understand the problem that is, but for everyone else, just ignore that I just said that and join us at Aircon for some games.
It's a good shout, yes. Let's do it.
Do you want to know one of the reasons why I can't make it this year?
Go on then.
I'd forgotten this, but actually, because I did it, booked it ages ago, but I'm going to be taking the Batmobile for a spin.
What?
Someone got me one of those red letter day things for my 40th birthday.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. Which Batmobile?
The 1960s.
Not the Tumbler.
No, it's not the Tumbler.
Not the Tumbler, no.
That would be amazing.
No, but I'm going to be taking the Batmobile for a spin in that weekend.
I mean, that's a flex, isn't it? I mean, fair play, Rory.
It's a good excuse of all the reasons not to go.
Yeah.
Like a broken car or something. That's a good
No,
one.
yeah, that's rubbish. No, I'm going to be in the Batmobile.
Oh, hang on, don't say that, Andy. You're now like 4 for 4, aren't you, in expeditions and broken
I'm
cars?
not. No. I haven't actually broken my car going to an aircon for a good few years now. The last
You
time
broke it on the way home from an aircon.
That was Expo.
That was Expo.
That was Expo last year. That was on the Thursday night press preview.
You went over a pothole and you banged up 2 tyres, one of which was brand new. It's on the podcast.
But I could still get home.
But you still banged up your car.
I did. That's fair. I'll give you
Right.
that. That was coming back from Aircon West. Yes,
Aircon West, yeah.
Stupid Shropshire.
Maybe
4 for 4.
Maybe a Laura should drive.
It's got nothing to do with the bloody driving.
I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that there's some
the
kind
drivers.
of connection between you, vehicles, and cons.
Why don't you? At least I'm going. At least I'm trying to go. Let's put it that way. Let's see how far off my driveway I managed to get.
Mr. Lewis, did you manage to play any board games during our last podcast session? Because you weren't here.
That's true, and I did, although not actually whilst I listened to it or whilst you were recording. But yes, I did. Whilst I was in the East, we played a couple of games. We played Crash Octopus, which is, I think, a Japan-only game at the moment. Or at least it's been kickstarted and hasn't got here yet, one of the two.
In case listeners have forgotten, Andy went to Japan for a few weeks. When we recorded last, Andy was actually in Japan, basically constantly sending photographs of like Japanese monuments and food.
Mostly food.
Mostly food, yeah.
Yes, because it was extremely cheap. Because the yen is not particularly good against the pound at the moment, so everything was like super cheap. Like you could get like lunch, which was basic. I mean, one of my lunches was served in a cauldron. Not like a huge cauldron, but a cauldron that would sit on the table, and that was about £4. 700 yen. It was just incredibly good. And the food was all really, really nice as well. But yes, we did play a few board games. We played Crash Octopus, which is a dexterity game where you have this sort of wooden octopus thing that sits in the table. So basically, it's a big pink dome and a bunch of these sort of wooden legs that sit out, on the tabletop. And the idea is you've got a boat and there's a bunch of treasure in this sort of enclosed area in a string. And the idea is you've got to spin a flag that flicks the treasure to your boat. And if it hits your boat, you put the treasure on the boat. But if you knock the existing treasure that's on your boat off, it stays in the sea so someone else can snaffle it. And you've got to basically get 5 bits of treasure and the game ends. So it's quite good fun. And you can move the octopus around depending on what happens. But that's quite good fun. And we have also acquired, but we didn't play it there, a game called You're a Penguin, which is essentially a cross between Rhino Hero Super Battle and Uno. We have the large copy, and we gave Rory a smaller copy of it for doing us a solid of looking after our house and cats whilst we were away. And that's quite good fun as well, because it's a sort of dexterity game where you've got to put rocks and penguins and things on the tower, so there's always the risk that you could knock it off. So yes, but we didn't play much beyond that. We did go to a board game cafe, and I genuinely can't remember what we played.
Did you do any of the old location stuff? When you played Isle of the Sky on Isle of the Sky?
Did you play Hanamagoji in Hanamagoji? Did you play Tang Garden whilst in a Tang Garden?
Tang Garden's Chinese, I think. But anyway.
It's all in the east. All in the east.
Yeah, it's all the same, Rory. It's only 2,000 miles apart. It's all the same.
I don't know. I don't know where Tang Garden's based.
I think it's China, but I might be wrong. We did, no, but I did visit Hanamagoji, because Hanamagoji is only a 2-player game and 4 of us were in Japan, so I thought it was probably a bit rude just to take a 2-player game with me. But whilst we were in Kyoto, I just decided one of the evenings we were there, I said, look, do you know what? Let's go and find Hanamikoji, because I have the board game. It would be quite nice to see what it's like. And it did not disappoint. I mean, Hanamikoji is very, very sort of old, and it's actually a protected area now of Kyoto. The signs up saying, this is a very nice area. For the love of God, don't take photographs. Because in that area are geishas. They are a real thing. And we got lucky, because at the time we rocked up, it turns out all the geishas were being brought to Hanamikoji, to their tea houses. And they're like ninjas. They just kind of appear and just disappear. They're just gone. They just shuffle around and gone. But it is considered poor form to take photographs of the geisha, so I did not. There's a big sign saying, don't take photos or we will send the Yakuza after you. It's not quite phrased like that, but it's not far off. So I managed to get away with taking a few pictures of the street, which is, I think, okay. But apparently there's been a few instances where tourists have managed to go into the tea houses and take pictures internally, which is where the geisha lives. It's a bit rude. So this is why the sign has existed, and that is considered very poor form. So that was not done. So I took a picture of the little sort of road sign that says this Hanamikoji, so it's all in Japanese kanji. But yeah, it's a really nice place, really old, really sort of traditional looking street, which is very, very lovely. So I'm very fortunate to have seen that. Although on the way back, we did find, back to our sort of accommodation there, we walked past, and I swear this is true, a rough bar. Just outside it, big neon letters, rough bar. I was like, yep, we've all been with one of them. But it was a phenomenal trip. Really, really enjoyed it. Lots and lots of things to see and do, but it is, I don't think you can prepare yourself for what you experience. And I don't just mean that because it's a different culture. I mean because everything in Japan is in your face. Everything is trying to sell you something. Everything is making a noise, trying to talk to you, flashing lights at you, massive, big, bright coloured, primary colour displays. And it is just an assault on your senses. It's a wonder that my friend Carl and I didn't end up with a seizure having played pachinko, because that was just fun but awful at the same time. Everything was flashing and shouting at you. And I don't know if you've ever heard of pachinko. It's kind of like a gambling machine.
I've heard of it. I just always wanted to try it, actually. It always looks fascinating.
It's mad. Absolutely mad. And we've played it now for about 20 minutes and we still don't have a clue what we're doing. Because it's based on this sort of old style pachinko, which is basically, those sort of, it's almost like a pinball. You sort of shoot a ball around a big top, and it's got nails in it and little holes that the balls fall into. It's basically that, but it's an electronic version. But you still have the balls that shoot up like a pinball thing, and they all sort of shoot down. You shoot them at one side, they all sort of tumble down one side. But there's a display in the middle that's got flashing lights and graphics and fish and scantily clad women because it's Japan and, all that kind of stuff. And as far as I can tell, you've got to try and time the balls falling into certain holes with the stuff appearing on the screen. And when that happens, you press a button and you get a prize, or you win some more balls, or you get another go, or whatever it is. But some attendant basically took pity on Carl and I, because we were there pressing buttons for 10 minutes and weren't seemed to achieving anything. So he came over and basically pulled out this sort of instruction manual or leaflet that was sort of stuck down the side of the machines. He basically said to do this. He's obviously couldn't speak English, bless him. And why should he? And he pointed to this. So we kind of went through, and I got to about step 6 and everything was working. And then the instructions kind of went off-piste a little compared to what was in front of me. And I kind of had to best guess it. But eventually I kind of worked it out. But I still don't know if I did well or not. But it was certainly an experience. But the entire hall was really loud because of all of this jingle-jangle of all the balls and the machines. There was music. There was a smoking room sort of near us. And everything was flashing lights. So genuinely, it's a wonder that neither of us had a seizure from after all of that. But it's certainly worth trying just for the experience in terms of games. But I'd like to maybe try it again one day when I've recovered. But the weirdest thing, or one of the weirdest things, is the heated toilet seats. They're all heated, which is nice, because if you go up, say, a cold, wet mountain one day and it's pissing with rain and you find a public toilets, which are everywhere, even the public toilet seats are heated. It's not someone's bum warmth, which does take some getting used to, I won't lie. But it's really nice. When you sit down and go, oh, that's quite pleasant. So when you're up a freezing mountain in January and there's a nice warm toilet seat, you just sit there for a little while just warming up. That's quite good. But yeah, there are also lots and lots and lots of vending machines. Like you could throw a stone in any direction, hit a vending machine. And they're not just like Coca-Cola or Mars bars. They sell coffee, hot chocolate. So they're heated.
Stop you there.
They're all powered.
We've had clicks machines for a long time.
No.
Warm
These are
chicken
actually
soup
nice.
that mixes with your Bovril. That then
No.
mixes with your
Not
tea.
like in an office. This is in the middle of the street or up a mountain. In the middle of bloody nowhere, literally just down a street or at the end of someone's drive. It's a bloody powered vending machine.
Can it really be classed as in the middle of nowhere if there's a vending machine and a heated toilet? I mean, I'm not stretching the definition of nowhere.
Seriously, up a mountain? Yes, you could be. It's nuts. Honestly, you just have to be there to experience it. It's impossible to describe. Genuinely, there are vending machines just everywhere. And some of them sell things like ramen noodles, so you can just get it's basically a pot noodle. You get a pot noodle up a mountain. It's great. You can get some of them sell pizzas, allegedly. I've not seen one myself, but it's another world. It really is. So, yeah, it was a good trip. I enjoyed it.
As an absolute complete aside, I decided to double check Tang Garden. Tang Garden is Chinese, Rory.
There you go.
And it's also a Chinese restaurant in Sutton Coldfield.
Oh, right.
There you go.
Fair enough.
So we should go to Tang Garden in Sutton Coldfield and play Tang Garden. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Right
that's
then.
what I'm saying. Yeah, it's just down the road.
That's not far at all, is it? Right, okay.
Well, we should do that. I'm sure they'd love that. Can we come from? Do you want a meal? No. We just want to play a game. Excuse me. What? Get out.
I mean, you could call it a bit of a expedition.
Oh,
I see what he's done there. You see what he's done there?
Grief.
That's pretty good. That's a good one, Gaffer.
Which leads us on to our first game to discuss this evening.
Tainted Grail.
Yes. No, a little bit behind the curtains. Actually, we played Expeditions, which is the Stonemaier game, the sequel. Well,
There's a sequel.
it is a sequel to Scythe. It's
a narrative sequel, isn't it? Yeah.
It does carry over quite a few mechanics as well. To be fair, narrative sequel to Scythe by Jamie Stegmaier from Stonemaier Games. We originally played this last year because we thought we wanted to cover up a few games before the end of the year, just in case they pipped us for Game of the Year, because there's a lot of hype about Expeditions. And I don't mean to really discuss or give away what we're going to discuss here, but this is the first time we're mentioning it, which may give you a hint about our thoughts. I can leave maybe some of the rules explanation to Andy a bit, but generally it is, in essence, a pick up and deliver style game based in the Scythe universe. So you have your little mech that trundles around the board, and you'll be going to places and collecting things and then dropping them off. But I will then shoot to Andy because it's more complicated than that, and the card system is quite clever. So I think you should discuss a little bit of that.
Okay, yes. Now I've got to dredge the rules out of my mind with no warning whatsoever. Thanks, Steve. Right.
No
Put it on the
warning.
spot.
It's top of the list of games to talk about.
That doesn't mean I've looked at the rules for a few weeks. Anyway, no, it's fine. It's not particularly complicated, to be honest. I'd say it's probably lighter than Scythe, in a way. I mean, Scythe's not a particularly heavy game, but there's a bit more to it, I think. But Expeditions is slightly lighter. But ultimately, yes, Steve's right. It's a card-driven, mostly, game, where the cards do serve a number of purposes. So most of the cards, most of the time, will serve as action cards, and they've basically got two bits to them. There's a bit at the top left, which basically gives you stuff. There are 3 resources in the game. Money, which is essentially victory points, which is what you get, like in original Scythe. And then there is, I'm just going to call it brains and fist, because I think it's guile and power, but brains and fist, because that's what they look like. And you can gain those as well by playing these cards. But on top of that, the cards have a special ability. And in order to unlock that special ability, you put down a meeple on the card at the time you play it. And you can acquire meeples through various actions on the board as well. So, but ultimately, there are quite an array of different actions, but it all boils down to either do something, move something, or pick something up. And various subjects on that theme. And the picking something up is usually an action on the board. So the board is made up of a bunch of hexes, sort of north, central, and south. I think the area is split up into, and there's always a known number of hexes in each area. So you randomise the hexes to start the game, and then once you go through them and explore them, they get turned over and you find them. But there's always a known number of hexes, and the numbers of those hexes are known within that area. So, like, you'll get 1 to 7 in the south, 8 to 15 in the central, and whatever it is left in the north, or whatever it is. And each tile has an action or two on it. Like, you could pick up a meeple, for example, on one of the tiles, or you could activate or be allowed to activate a mission objective, or what's called, I think is it brag or gloat or something like that, which is basically hearts. And this is the clever part of the cards that Steve mentioned, in that there are three different types of cards. There are mission cards, what we'll call meteorite cards, which kind of ties into the theme that the area has basically been hit by this meteorite, as it was in Scythe. And the idea is that you're exploring, going on an expedition to find out what's out there and kind of like decontaminate the area. And you find these meteorite cards, which are basically ongoing abilities, basically. You can tuck them, not unlike Wingspan, actually, underneath your player board in order to activate them. And the cards all have these particular things down the various sides and they line up with the way that you tuck them under your player board. So if it's a mission, you tuck it at the top, so the bit at the top of the mission is visible, and it will give you an ongoing ability. If it's a permanent upgrade to your abilities, so like every time you pick up a meeple, for example, you might get a money for so that'll go into the side, and at the bottom you'll tuck that with a culminating, not culminating, what's the word? Cumulative, thank you, Rory. There's a cumulative benefit to all of the meteorite cards, and you can do each of these a limited number of times. Ultimately, the person wins the game has got the most money, but like in Scythe, the person who triggers the end of the game isn't necessarily going to win, because you need to do a certain number of things in order to score points, and like in Scythe, there's a bunch of multipliers, depending on what you've done, which will give you money. So ultimately, you want to do all of the things, but you can't do all of the things. You just need to do them quicker than everybody else, basically. But Steve's right. It's ultimately a pick up and deliver. So on your turn, you have a choice of 3 actions, but you'll only ever, apart from on the first turn after a reset, be able to do 2 of them. And you have to do a different action each time. So you've got a little cube and a little slider, so you'll move it from either move, activate, or play. So basically play a card, activate a hex, or move your bloody great metal tank. So you say you've moved last time, you have to pick one of the others to cover up, and you'll do the other 2. Until you get to a point where you can't do any of the others because you run out of cards, there's no point in going anywhere, and you can't pick anything up for some reason. So then what you have to do is a reset, which is basically your turn, and then you get to do all 3 next time. So there's a kind of an ongoing dilemma as to, do you burn through all of your cards and be really efficient, or do lots and lots of resets and play the same card over and over again because it's quite powerful, but you do it less often. So there's kind of this nice balance that's going on there. And all of this is with everybody else doing the same thing and getting in your way, because you can't put your tractor on the same hex as somebody else. So if somebody else goes there and camps and gets in your way for, say, 5 turns, Rory.
No, I can't remember that happening when we played. Anybody getting in.
Is that because you were in a red haze? So Sid was parked up for a while, and then you're like, yes, I can go there. And I moved in and stayed there, and some naughty words came out of your mouth. Mm-hmm. But it plays up to 5. I've played it now at 2 and 5, and I think 4. I think it was 4 with you it was, guys. Yeah. I definitely think it plays better with more than 2, but it needs less than 5. Now, I've been told by a certain person who isn't a wizard that it's best at 3. Now, I haven't played it at that player count, but I played it at all the others, and based on
process of elimination.
My brain isn't working tonight at all. Based on the process of elimination, I am probably inclined to agree, because 5 was just deathly slow. Now, admittedly, all the players that were playing it the first time with 5 had never played it before, so there's obviously going to be a little bit more downtime because people are still getting used to how to play the game. But it isn't complicated. You know, once you've got the hang of each of the actions, it is literally just move your thing, pick up something, or play a card, and that's it. Then it's the next player. Some turns can get a little bit complicated, but none of them are that bad. So I think just the number of people in the loop before you get your next go is just a little bit frustrating at 5. So definitely more than 2, fewer than 5, probably 3 is what I would say is a reasonable player count.
So what did everyone actually think of it then? Because we've all played this.
I thought it was thoroughly unmemorable. unfortunately. If I was honest and you asked me to tell you the difference between Scythe and Expeditions, I'd struggle to tell you the difference because all I remember was the things that are the same in it as Scythe. So the stars on the victory point track thing, and the fact that you've got little tractors.
Quite big metal tractors, actually.
The fact that we've called the mechs tractors. We just stuck with this idea that the mechs just tractors.
Well, they are. They don't actually get into fights in this. They just walk around and hulk about.
They do less fighting than inside.
Big posh John Deeres.
Pretty much.
See, as we've alluded to, I got a little bit upset playing this game because I think I misunderstood a rule or didn't catch a rule, and then I felt a bit hamstrung by it, and then I was just frustrated by this game. I think I was frustrated even when I figured out what I needed to do actually play and actually stand a chance. I felt frustrated, and all of the gripes I have with Scythe, and there are many, are all there with Expeditions. And like Sid said, it is a very unmemorable game. It looks gorgeous. All the resources, lovely. All the components, great. The cards, the art, beautiful. But that shouldn't be the best thing about the game. And as far as I'm concerned, it is.
It is typically Stonemaier in production quality. There's no two ways about that. And the artwork is obviously very consistent with Scythe.
Yeah.
But the problem is, and as much of a Stonemaier whore as I have in the past, or at least as far as up to Scythe, everything after that has been kind of mince, I'm not going to lie to you. I have to agree with you and Sid on this. I'm the one who owns Expeditions. I bought it because I thought, I really like Scythe, contrary to Rory's opinion of it. But I don't think Expeditions I don't think it's very good, to be honest. It's certainly not very interesting.
I think it's really interesting because I find them to be very similar.
Really?
Yeah. There are slight differences. They feel very similar and they play very similar. And
I think I can understand what you mean, because if you actually take the games for what they are, they're very different. Scythe is this big, resource-heavy area control game.
Exactly.
Whereas Expeditions is a pick and deliver, but both of them require, because there are so many rules that are similar between them. Actually, one of the things I think you're right, Stonemaier has actually really, really got right here is the mindset of doing it. It's all about efficiency.
Yeah.
It's all about efficiency of taking spaces and getting resources and how to use your actions in Scythe. And Expeditions is all about the efficiency of getting from A to B and making sure you've got the cards right to do that. So yes, I think it's actually that's a bizarrely a merit to them to make two completely different games actually feel so similar.
Yeah,
Now
I think that's a really good
it.
point. It is
Now
a
you
real
mention
good
it.
sequel game that takes that core aspect of the game and then puts it into a new body. It's really good. I think for me, one of the things I dislike about Expeditions and Scythe is that victory star chart. You've got 10 different ways to get your stars down. What I didn't like about that, what I don't like about that, is that as a new player coming into these games, it's knowing which areas to try and hone in on and which ones to give up on. I think, and for me, a lot of the strategy that you need to know with Scythe and Expeditions, you can only get when you know how to play. You can watch a rules video, you can read the rules book, you can know how to play, but you don't know how to play well until you've played the game.
But
and for me,
that's true of every game.
that's not true of every game. But my point here is that
It is.
playing the game is not fun.
No, I get it. But I find out a lot of games, and it's not about playing the game, Andy. It's about the challenge I find in both in Scythe and in Expeditions was the asymmetry. The asymmetry makes it a hard game to play the first time you play it.
Well, that's probably true of any asymmetric game. Like
it
you try and
is
play
to an
Root, you won't know
but
how you
it-
turn
yeah,
play
it
it
is.
until you play
It
it a
is.
couple of
It
times.
is.
And yet
Yeah.
we love Root.
It
So
is,
I
but
don't accept that argument.
But not every game's asymmetric.
No, but Root is, and we like Root.
Okay, so let me say that when we played Scythe the other day, and my faction was the really good at war, right? So I'm going to try and double down on their strength to try and get my stars down. And I found that really hard to do that with my randomly drawn objectives. It was really hard to use my strength, my asymmetric strength, strategically well in that game when I was hampered by all these other things. Whereas in Root, I have, this is my strength, and if I play into my strength, I will do well. With Scythe, I found this is my strength, but how do I do this, and do this, and do this, and do that, and do that? As Steve said, I think when we played, I should have given up on my objectives. I should have not bothered with my objectives. I should have concentrated on doing this or that instead because I had those options. I didn't know how good a tactic that would have been. I didn't know that. And you only get that from playing the game. But by failing at that first hurdle, I was just like, well, that made it a very unenjoyable learning experience.
That's the difference. Would you enjoy it if you played it again? Is the question. I mean, is that the first time you played Scythe?
That was the first time I played Scythe.
And we're mainly talking about expeditions here, but we're bundling Scythe into this discussion, aren't
it's more interesting.
So
that's what I mean. Look, let's skip to the end and not bore the listeners with the verdict here. Scythe is the more interesting of the two.
Yeah,
and even that is causing a negative reaction in Rory.
Yeah, I think I would never actively choose to play Scythe. If I went round to Andy's for a games day and he was like, shall we play Scythe? Maybe just to piss me off, but maybe he would say, let's play Scythe. Because Andy, like you said, Andy's got all the expansion. There's some you've not tried, and I've gone to yeah, you know, fine, we'll play Scythe. That's okay. I'll play it. But if I go around to Andy's and he says, what game do you want to play from this library? I am not playing Scythe. I'm never going to choose Scythe. I'm never going to choose to play it.
Taking it back to expeditions quickly.
Yes.
Because I realised I didn't pipe in with my opinion. I thought the card system was really clever. The way they took, the way they did things. I mean, it's not completely unique, but I thought it was a clever implementation of it. And I think what it wanted to do, it did really well. And I don't think I can actually criticise any aspect of that game design. I think it did everything really well. Yes, but... Well, Andy, you have Mr. Lewis there in the front with his hand up?
Yes, I think there are far too many bloody icons. I thought some of the iconography was very confusing.
Oh, okay.
Because some of them, like you've got a picture of a card, and you've got a picture of a card at a very slight angle.
Oh, I remember
and if you're looking at the cross of the table, that's very unclear.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
true. That iconography was a point.
And there were too many actions. They basically had like 4 actions. They basically did the same thing, i.e. took a card underneath your map. And they all had different names. Now, I understand why, but it could have been simpler, I think.
Yeah, the name. I remember the name thing. You have to fuse your meteorite. Well, what's that mean? You took it on your board.
Yeah, exactly. Why didn't you just have Tuck?
Tucked.
Yeah.
Why can't it just be called Tuck?
I feel that was because we didn't get the story. No, let's be honest. We didn't read the preamble, did we?
There's a point when the story has to be thrown out the window for ease of play.
I agree.
You know?
I agree.
And we also all did agree that the theme is basically piss thin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It could have been genuinely about a supermarket supply chain, and it would have been exactly the same game.
This is where I was trying to get to. I think Expeditions does what it needs to do very well. I think the problem is, in the end of the day, it's a pick up and deliver game, and I've realised I have zero interest in pick up and deliver games. Because that did it really well, and I came to the end of it and went, well, I enjoyed that, but I'm not bothered about playing it again.
Yeah.
Again, if Andy went, I desperately want to play it, I'll give it another go, but I don't think I'd pick it again. Scythe, I would pick again.
Yes.
I do like Scythe.
Yes.
But that's besides the point.
I have to agree with you there, Steve. I mean, I own Expeditions, and it is soon to be on my sale list. So if anyone wants to find me at Aircon, I'm happy to bring it along. I'm uninterested by it. I've now played it at least 3 times. I think it's 3 times. Yeah, it must be 3 times because I played it at 3 different player counts, plus a learning game, and I still don't find it that exciting. It's definitely a game you get better at by the more you play, which is why I keep saying, it's kind of true of every game. But I just don't really want to. There are more interesting games out there, Like Tricerian. which I never get to play, god damn it.
One game you may have enjoyed playing, and I don't know, Andy, because we haven't actually spoken to you about this, so let's do this now. But one game you may have enjoyed playing is Scholars of the South Tigris, the second in the South Tigris series of games.
I am aware of its work.
Now, this is the second game in the series, so we are aware of Garphill Games and their Cardinal Points of the Compass series of games, 3 in each Euro, all similar-ish themes and all feeding off each other in the way in which they use iconography and artwork. This is the second one, so this is the dice placement games, which are the South Tigris. The Scholars game is all about translating documents. And the basic gist of the game is what you're trying to do is you have to run a path through various translators that are on the main board to get it to Arabic. Because Arabic is your goal because you're in South Tigris. So what that means is it means you have to pay to hire translators, which make up the bottom of the board. And then generally what you're doing is you're grabbing these scrolls in all these various languages and using everyone's translators to get points. Yeah. I mean, that's a really, really easy overview of what it is. It's a Euro game, so there's a couple of weird, squiffly things in there. Like, for instance, there's an entire section of the board which involves basically going around like a Ludo board. You know, all it needed was the Pop-O-Matic in the middle to make it really genuine. But
was just another way of getting stuff, wasn't it, really?
It was a way of getting stuff. It makes no thematic sense whatsoever. Apparently it was caravans, but it made no sense.
Really?
I think so. You did an action, you moved so many spaces, and then what you landed on was the resource you got, and then you could use that to get scrolls and move them into the towers. The towers were another area of the board, which was like how you...
they were the kind of the schools of thought or philosophy or something. It was just literally just, I'll have that scroll because it happens to be there and I've landed on that colour.
Yeah, and then the main bit of the board, which is where this game gets really complicated, is the main bit of the board is a tracks system. Yeah. You know, your typical Tolkien tracks, which are all 7 colours of the rainbow.
Which is fun with colour blinds.
I can imagine, yeah. Well, they've all got
icons on, yeah.
They do, which does help, to be fair.
Yeah, but I can't imagine it helps with the dice. Just because I was about to get to the dice, because one of the clever thing, TM, about this game is you are collecting dice to do your actions. You grab some out of the bag, you roll the dice, and then that gives you what dice you have for your actions. So you have white dice, which of course have no colour. Then you start the game.
Or every colour, depending on your point.
I knew you were going to say that.
For the purposes of the game, they have no colour. We're doing RGB here, not CMY. But then you have primary coloured dice, and you will need to mix them at some point because you can't. To take a blue action, you need to use a blue dice. Yes. And what you can do is you can use a blue meeple to turn a white dice blue. Which means you've got meeples, which is another resource, which I haven't bothered talking about yet, but I'll just throw that in randomly in there. But you say, for instance, if you need to take a purple action, then you'll need a red or a blue, red and a blue dice on the same action. But later on in the game, and I do mean quite later, you will unlock purple, orange, and green dice, but there's very, very few of them. I don't want to go into more detail than that because otherwise we will be here for the next hour because it's quite a complicated game and I do think this might be Garphill's most complicated game yet.
I don't think it is, but I think it's one of the most badly explained games in the rulebook. Because getting your head round what the dice do, like basically what you just explained there is the combination of the dice and the meeples. It's not that complicated. It is literally change the colour of a white die with a meeple or maximise a coloured die with the same coloured meeple. That's it. It's really that simple. But for some reason, the way it explains how to combine your meeples and also how to... Is it translate the cards? It's something else. Oh, that's right. It's bring out new cards. When somebody translates a card and you bring out a new card later, there's this ridiculously convoluted system to describe how you basically where you put it. But it's ultimately, if there's one already there, junk the one you've picked up. That's it. But there's 4 paragraphs of this ridiculous flowchart. And it confused the hell out of Alora when she was learning it.
And then me reading that through it one at a time and just going, Hang on, sure this just means put the card into the next available slot.
Put the bunny back in the box. Yeah, basically, yes, Steve.
I read it over again several times. I went, no, that really is just 4 paragraphs saying put the card in the next slot.
There's one there,
here's the order.
Yep, if there's nothing there, put it in. If it is there, junk it. Done. That's it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
But there's other problems with that as well with the rulebook. Because it's a Euro game, so lots of things give you bonuses for doing the thing. You know, do the thing, to do the thing, to do the thing. And 90% of the symbols about what you can do make sense. Put an extra white die in your back.
Yeah.
Take a white die out of your back. Roll a blue die. And it's 2 or 3 symbols which have no explanation. They're not in the rulebook at all, 2 of them, and then one of them is in a weird place in the rulebook.
That's very true.
And each time you've got to go, but what the hell does that symbol actually mean?
Yes.
It's like, and I can't believe that we're on the, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th game in the Garp Hill Games series, and we've gone backwards in terms of rulebook design.
Because Architects was a fantastic rulebook. Paladins was a fantastic rulebook. The West Kingdom games were really, really, really good and clear and nice. Whereas I think the South games have gone, a little bit more verbose.
But now, who's played this? I know
I've played this.
Rory's played this. Sid, did you play this?
No, I haven't played this one.
Or we tried to get you, and then we couldn't work out times we could play it, did we?
That's right.
And I assume, Andy, obviously you've played this because you're discussing it, Andy.
I'm just making stuff up and guessing right.
Well, I mean, it's what you usually do.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes, I own this and I've played it a few times with Laura.
I've played this a few times now.
I haven't played it with more than 2, though. So I would like to do that because I think it would be better.
4.
I'm guessing it's better with more.
It's better at 4, but now, because of the rulebook, I got a rule wrong. So both games of this, I got the same rule wrong twice. Both games means the game has been much longer than it should have been. Because I missed one of the rules that moves some of the scrolls into these towers, which would quicken the game up.
That's the rule I'm talking about, yes. Because if there's already one in the tower, then the one you draw out of the deck goes into the junk, whereas if there isn't one, then you put it in the next one down. But it depends on the player count.
Anyway, I got something wrong, which means I'm pretty sure both games of this have been like 10 turns longer than they should have been.
Yeah,
however, I really like this game.
I agree. I actually want to play it again. And I think that what makes it a good game.
My 2 cents. This is shortlisted for my game of the year.
Really?
Already.
It came out last year.
It came out at the very beginning of this year, didn't it?
Garp Hill games tend to get delivered mid-December.
Yeah, we got it before Christmas, so you're too late.
But Rory,
It's new to us.
we always leave it to the following year because we never play it over Christmas in time to talk about the podcast.
It's true.
So you are fine.
Fair enough, yeah.
So that's our rules. Bollocks. Steve breaks them, why not?
Street date was in January, surely. No one can really argue with me there. But
I think we played it in December, but that's because Laura was really, really keen. And I wasn't allowed to leave the house.
We 100% played it in December. It was between Christmas and New Year, wasn't it, Steve?
There you go. But I think the last couple of weeks of December, Steve's right. They're kind of they're a grey area.
But for me, I mean, I really enjoy dice placement games. As a mechanic, I absolutely love in games, and this for me was absolutely phenomenal. This game, it really clicked with me. Steve did a fantastic job of explaining the rules. I looked at it.
There you go.
I looked at it. I went, "This all makes sense. Let's play." And I proceeded to kick 3 arses around the table.
Nice. Rory and not shit shocker.
Yeah.
Wow.
But this game really resonated with me. I loved it. I loved absolutely everything about it. I'm itching to play this game again.
You can get cream for that. But yes, I have to admit, I do agree. Because I was pretty lukewarm about Wayfarers. Laura quite likes it, but I think Wayfarers is a bit dull and a bit too complicated. The scoring mechanism in it is bollocks. But I don't mind Wayfarers, but I think Scholars is definitely a big step up from Wayfarers. I'd much rather play Scholars than Wayfarers.
Interesting.
There's a bit more to it, I think. I think it flows a bit better as well. Wayfarers, I think there's a bit too much jam in it because you pick a card and you could maybe not do something with it, and there was a bit too much reliance on dumb luck, I suppose. Like the gamble of, can I get 7 comets or whatever it is? It's like, I could go all on that. You get to the end of the game, you've only got 6 and you've got no points. Whereas I think your destiny is very much more in your own hands in Scholars. There's obviously still a little bit of jam, but there's a bit more planning, and I think you can do more about the jam. If you can say, okay, well, I can't get to Arabic directly, but if I do that and then that and then that, then I can do that. It'll take me an extra turn, but at least I have ability to do something and work around it, which I think is better.
So how many times in your game, Andy, did someone have to rewind their translation turn because they've got, I'm going to go to Chinese, I'm going to go to such and such, and then I'm going to go to, oh, hang on, where's the Arabic translator gone? They were there a minute ago.
None, actually, because we pay attention, Mr. Tudor. But I'm not going to lie that I do rewind my turns quite a lot sometimes. I go, no, I'm not going to do that because I haven't got enough gold to pay the translator because I spent it last turn. So the track of translation was fine. The management of resources, however, less so.
See, for me, the translator track was a brilliant aspect of this game. So for Sid, you've got these different translators. So you'll have who do Greek to Sanskrit, Persian to Hebrew, and Chinese to whatever. And you use these guys to build your path from whatever language your original scroll is in to get it to Arabic. But when you hire this translator and you put them down at the bottom row of the board, you say, right, I own that. I've hired that guy. So you put your little marker on, and then every time they get used, players have to place gold on them. When they max out all their gold, that card comes to you, and you can then tuck it under your board to give you some special powers. What happens is a lot of people manipulate where this gold is on the board, so you can be like, I'm going to get that scholar in a minute, and then someone shifts the gold and takes it off, so then that scholar stays down for a long time, which can really piss in your chips if you go, right, I bought this one specifically because Sanskrit to Arabic is really common in all of the scrolls I can see on the board, so I know I'm going to get him really quickly, it's going to boost this power. And then all your other players just keep messing with that and keep taking the gold off him.
Yeah.
But then the other really clever thing is you go, right, I'm going to buy that, I'm going to hire this one because I'm looking at these scrolls and I can see there's a lot of Chinese coming out now. So I'm going to get in early to get that Chinese translator out, which means everybody else is going to use them and I benefit from it because it was going to release that translator for me earlier. So there's a little bit of betting of reading the board state, reading what's going to happen, and then go, right, I'm going to place my bets at this one here, and then you get to choose whereabouts in the kind of the library they go. Do you make them really cheap or do you make them really expensive? So is it just like 1 golden out, or do they need 3?
I really like that aspect. It really makes you think of, not just, can I get the thing quicker? Because if I put him in, or them, or her in, them, I could get them in and maybe, get them out really quick and hire them, but someone else could snaffle it.
Yeah.
But the more you pay, the more the better power you get when you put them in as well. So there's this wonderful sort of kind of triple layered offset thing going on. And I think it works really well because you can take gold off, as you say, you can put gold on, you can move it around. You could pay a kind of a neutral one as well. And then every now and again in the game, there's like 4 objectives that come out that monkey about with them.
Exactly,
some of them get bought as well by neutral parties. So it's a really, really well thought out game, and it really hangs together well.
It's a very clever type of player interaction, where you're trying to anticipate what players are going to do based on what the game state is. And you're also looking at what cards and what objectives you're working to as well. Because what you don't want to do is put that, say, Chinese translator in, and then by the time it gets back, not Japanese, but by the time it gets back round to you again, you're like, the 3 of the people have used it and it's gone. So you don't even get the benefit of actually doing that translation.
Yeah.
The colour mixing as well, it's just everything about this game.
It is clever, actually. I really like that.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Really, really clever.
It is. Yeah, because the mixed colours are really powerful. But, of course, you can only use each die once. And then you have to put it back, which is quite nice. So you've basically got to build this engine that you can only ever use once.
Yes. Like the action programming as well.
Yeah.
So this is
it's a good game. I think we all like this game, don't we? Yeah. It's a three thumbs up.
Definitely, yeah. Absolutely loved it, yeah.
Very good game.
Go on, Sid. You've got a weird grumpy face on you. Go on. Or just resting grump face.
It's my resting grump face. No, it's. Do you know what? You guys are selling me the game. You really are. Especially as I don't like Garphill games.
Hey,
No, I just don't get on with them. I don't get on with them.
blasphemy.
Which is why I've been keeping quiet.
Actually, that's not true. You like Explorers.
I think Explorers is all right. I very, very strongly dislike Architects.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think you're one of the only ones. You're not the only one, weirdly, but you are one of the minority.
I know I'm in the minority. I mean, Explorers is all right, but again, it's not one I want to write home about. But Architects really gets on my. I can't make it work in my head. My brain just doesn't like it. So, but what you've just described there it feels quite different. It sounds
really
more interesting. As you say with the dice placement stuff, it does sound more intriguing. So I think,
It's weird how Garphill have made several games which all feel similar because they all use similar iconography and similar rules. Yet at the end of the day, are all actually really different.
Mm-hmm.
It's a world away from Architects. Yet there's so many things that are in this and in Architects, that just mesh a little bit. It's really quite clever.
It is very, very good. So yeah, definitely thumbs up. I wouldn't necessarily go as far as say Game of the Year, but it is a long year. You never know. They might be 2024 might be the year of Dross, at which point, yeah, can't disagree.
Don't know.
It's a good contender.
I don't know. It's just really
It's a solid
good,
game, no doubt about it.
Really good game.
Yeah.
completely sideline thing. I forgot to mention earlier. Simon has signed an exclusive with GameFound.
Beg your pardon?
Yes, their latest game. They're currently doing the Master of the Universe game, and they're doing the Fire and Ice Songs of Fire and Ice miniatures game, and they're both on GameFound rather than Kickstarter.
No, it's more than that. There's like a proper joining of the pair, kind of partnershipy thing going on.
That's a slight conflict of interest because Simon
why?
make nice big tasty miniature games, and Awaken Realms make nice big tasty miniature games. And GameFound is owned by Awaken Realms, is it not?
Is it a conflict of interest when you get your competitor use your product?
Will take its crowdfunding and pre-order business exclusively to GameFound. So Simon will be exclusively now on GameFound.
And no more Kickstarters for
No more
Simon.
Kickstarters.
Song of Fire and Ice. Didn't Awaken Realms actually release a Song of Fire and Ice a few years ago to literally no fanfare?
You are thinking of the Simon miniatures game.
I am.
You
are correct.
For those who played it, actually think it's a really, really good game.
Ah, I knew somebody had released it, but okay. So they're re-releasing it. Are they updating it?
No, this is a different game using the same miniature set. So the Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game, as it currently stands, is like a rank and file miniatures game.
Right.
So regiments.
Yes.
This is a skirmish game.
Ah.
So lower number, more smaller board, all that kind of stuff.
Nice. But you can use the stuff from the original in this one.
I don't want to say yes because I might be wrong.
Okay.
Doesn't usually stop you, but let's carry on.
In which case, yes, you can use them.
That's quite good.
I don't know is the short answer, but they look like they're using the same miniature range, or at least aesthetically.
Miniatures are fully compatible and in scale with existing TMG range, allowing new possibilities.
There you go.
So that's good. So basically all you need to buy, I suppose, is the rulebook if you've got the original game. Thereabouts, maybe.
Potentially, yeah.
And that's quite good.
So anyway, that was a random digression.
I love it. I love the random
sparked
aside.
my brain.
We need a jingle for that as well now. Sid's random moment.
With this lemsip, mate, I'm tanked up on it.
Smacked off his tits.
Have you seen? Of course, there is Simon silliness with this Song of Ice and Fire Tactics.
No.
It comes with there's a dragon.
Oh, I have seen this. Yeah,
of course there is.
And the dragon is not a miniature in the game. It's a board piece. It's what you play around.
Is it like Death May Die?
Cthulhu, yeah.
So yeah, oh god, right.
And Galactus from the Zombicide one as well. It's stonkingly ridiculously
It's
huge.
not a miniature, is it? It's a maxiture.
It's a piece of terrain.
Yes.
It is It is actually a piece of terrain.
That's nuts. And it'll still get thousands of people wanting it.
Yeah, and I'm now looking at it the entire game, going, "Ooh,
Hello.
that this is tickling my acquisition disorder. I need to close this window."
Mm-hmm.
I think, gentlemen, it's time to enter into our mailbag.
I think you're right.
And since Andy has been away, Andy gets to pick the first question.
Well,
Choose wisely, Andy. Otherwise, your skin will melt off like that Nazi bad guy.
I was actually looking at the questions whilst I was listening to the last podcast, which I have to say was very good. Thank you, gentlemen. Well done.
Thank you.
Got a few digs in there. I'm not going to forgive that, but we'll move on. I was looking at some of the questions that we had prior to that, which you've saved up. So I'm going to big one of them, which I think is relevant at the moment because we all got into this, or at least three of us have. Is Torrin Spence asks, "What is your paint range of choice?"
I thought you might go for that one.
Yes, I'm getting it in now while we're all here. Which I think is actually quite a hard question to answer.
Really? Just one
Yes,
second.
it is.
This is going to be a long one. Can I go and get biscuits?
Yes.
I feel like this is.
Are you gonna get hot
where you
dogs?
put your
Chocolate
tear
hot
up, you get your cup of tea, you get your biscuit. Cause
Are these sponsored biscuits?
Not yet, but McVitie's what they're getting on the game, I'm up for that. Anyway, sorry, Andy. I didn't mean to distract from.
That's
from
quite all right.
I've got a straightforward answer to this one, though.
Go on then.
Have you?
I don't care.
It's a valid answer.
Paint's paint. There's absolutely, for me, there's just no difference but whether I'm using Vallejo or Army Painter or Citadel
Dulux
or yeah, really. If I'm using a miniature paint, it's a miniature paint, and I'm only really limited to those three, really, because that's what they sell in the local shop, the miniature shop. But if I want a colour, I'll go and buy a colour. I don't give a rat's ass who makes it.
Interesting. Wow.
But then I don't take my painting nearly as seriously as you.
That is true. That is a fair point. I mean, from a certain point of view, I can't disagree with what you're saying because I can understand, a paint's a paint and it's fine.
But since I said it, you are going to disagree with me.
Well, yes and no.
Oh, that's good biscuits, Stevie's, I tell you. Some fireworks are starting already.
Not at all. But yes, I am going to disagree with you. Well, no, I'm not. I'm going to justify the differences more than anything else because I think it very much depends on what you're trying to do, and what you're trying to paint as well, and how you're trying to paint it. Which I realise is lots of variables, and of course it's all subjective. And for example, our friend Derek, who we paint with, Derek, you've played some Dune and stuff with him. He really dislikes Vallejo. For whatever reason, it's his choice. I'm not going to slate him for that. He just, for whatever reason, he doesn't get on with Vallejo, which is, pretty much counter to about 98% of the industry. But so be it. That's up to him. But he really likes Citadel. Again, his reasons, choices. Now, I can we've talked about this, Derek and I, because I think there are a few things about Vallejo that they are quite grainy. In some instances, it's almost like painting with sand. It's weird. It's really hard to explain. There's not all of their paints, but a few of them are. So I can kind of see where he's coming from in some cases. But again, every range is different and every paint is different. Even every paint in every range is different. So it's really hard to say, do you have a paint range of choice? But that being said, yes, the Scale Colour Artists range are absolutely bloody lovely. But they are not they are not beginner friendly. They do take some work.
I would kind of agree with what you both said. I don't think the paint range, the range itself, especially when you get to the big ranges like Citadel and Vallejo, make much of a difference. I think it's down to the colours, like you've said, Rory. But I also think you need to find what colours which colours you like out of what range, and what you'll end up doing is you'll end up gravitating to the same colours every time.
That's a good point.
After you've got a thing.
Dark sea
I will
blue.
say that Dark Sea Blue is so lovely. I will always, as a first point of call, go to Vallejo and Citadel, depending on what colours. And I do tend to just, picking up the pot, I always prefer a Citadel. Something about the colours in them just jump out at me. But then when applying them, I do find I work better with the Vallejo ones. I have the Artist Opus, not Artist Opus, they're brushes, the Scale Colour Artist series that Andy's talking about, but I've not really used them enough to have an opinion on them yet, and they seem to be my special paints for special occasions, and I haven't used them yet. What I will say is certain colours and certain brands are absolutely awful. Army Painter's red can get thrown in the sea because it's absolutely useless. I've never seen a paint which I've put it on, it's dried, and I can't see where I've put it because it's dried to near transparent.
Was that Dragon Red by chance?
Yes,
it was. Yes, I completely agree. It was fucking awful. But their Crusted Saw Red is quite good.
I also, years ago, I went to, I think it was Salute, and they had a miniature painting competition with, who are the people that do War Machine? Privateer Press. And they have their own range of paints, because of course they had to get in on the action. P3 paints. And I thought I was going mad, because I'd dip my paintbrush in the paint, put it on the miniature, and nothing would happen. And I'm not kidding, the paint was staying on the paintbrush. And it was just like, what am I doing wrong? I was like trying different consistencies. And I thought I was going mad because the guy I was with was also trying and going, no, I'm having no problems with this. And I watched the Squidmar video when he reviewed all the paint sets.
Yeah, they don't stick.
And Lucas said exactly the same thing about the P3 paints. They just wouldn't come off the paintbrush onto the model.
Yeah.
So,
no.
Yeah, never
Not
bought them.
P3. Okay.
You mentioned Army Painter. I literally... Yesterday, I started watching a video from Ninjon
about the new ones.
The new range of Army Painter paints, and he was very complimentary. I haven't seen the whole thing, but he started off quite complimentary. So I think it might be worth, because apparently Army Painter have basically revisited their entire range and actually put some pigment in the bloody things now. So they might be all right. But I'm not about to rush out and buy any more. What I will say... this is why I come back to the statement, it depends on what you're doing, because having slated the older Army Painter paints, I think Army Painter's metallic paints are bloody brilliant. I don't like Vallejo's metallics. I think they're too sticky and gooey and greasy. They really don't go on very well at all. But the Army Painter ones really do. So they're the ones I use if I wanted to use true metallics.
I find with metallics, and we're going to go around, we have to cut this short so we're here all for hours. The airbrush metallics, brushed on with a normal brush, are brilliant.
Oh, interesting. I should try those.
Vallejo, but the normal ones, it's like putty.
Yeah,
put it on.
They're all really horrible things.
And the Games Workshop ones, I had loads of Games Workshop metallic paints, but they all went off.
Oh.
I had the brass one that turned just into a lump, and it wasn't that old a pot. But the Retributor Armour Gold is lovely and goes on perfectly every time. So yes. It depends, all the paints, because there's not like one universal recipe unless you go to the really narrow ranges like Chimera or something like that, which,
So there you go.
Sid.
There isn't an answer.
Yeah, there isn't an answer. Sid, pick us a question.
Pick your question. Oh, God. Oh, let's have one from Threads, because I don't even know what Threads is. So, Samfire Games asks, what theme and what mechanism would you like to see more or less of in 2024?
I have noticed there's certain themes I really like, right? And they're really cliched, but I really like pirate games and I really like dinosaur games. If I had a look at my collection of board games, I've got quite a few pirate games and I've got quite a few dinosaur games. And I've got more of those than I've got any other theme.
Interesting. So I am a sucker for a dark fantasy, as you probably would have guessed. So more of that, please. And the mechanism I'd like to see less of, but I think that's happening anyway, is roll and write, because they can get in the bin.
Yeah. Seconded.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to see many, many more Hidden Traitor or Social Deduction games, because I love them. I really can't get enough of them. I really, really like them. Anything all the way from, Dead of Winter or BSG or Saboteur or...
Who goes there?
Who goes there?
The best Hidden Traitor game.
It is and it isn't. It's a nice idea and the suspense works well, but the rest of the game is kind of...
Jesus, Andy, do you have to disagree with everything I say?
Yes, because I'm right. And you know I'm right because you had to hook the game to make it work. But yeah, games like that I really, really like.
Well, I'll tell you what, I want more Cthulhu.
You just want
I'm
more
on a
Cthulhu.
massive Cthulhu kick at the moment. To the point where, Steve, unless you run masks really, really soon, I'm going to end up doing it myself, right? Because I'm waking up, I'm dreaming about it right now, and I'm thinking I've got a character. I'm almost at the point today that I was looking at modern day settings for Cthulhu. So modern Cthulhu, which looks really interesting.
Delta Green apparently is quite an interesting take on modern Cthulhu.
Yeah, I know.
A bit of RPG action for you there. Oh, I can't think of any other mechanisms I'd like to see more of, though.
Well,
Dice placement, apparently.
On that, though, Sid, you know when we have our annual December Games Day?
Yeah.
I should, in theory, have Cthulhu Death May Die Dark Providence by then.
Well.
So that should be delivered in November, December time.
You see, this is why me and Rory agree on things. We don't argue about games. Right? We just sit and enjoy them. Yeah, we could come round. You can come round for our December wind down to Christmas annual Games Day.
Annual Sid and Rory Games Day.
Yeah. It's quite. I look forward to that.
Right then, boys, we've got time for one more question. So, somebody pick one for us.
Oh, I want to know this one actually. What was from Tzatziki, also on Threads? What was the first game you each played with each other? Now, I can remember the first game I played with Sid, but that's it. I can't remember the first game I played with you guys.
I think Talisman actually might have been.
Talisman is probably the first game I played with you,
Sid. With Steve.
It would have been, because it would have been with John, so it would have been either Talisman or Robo Rally.
It's not Robo Rally.
Pretty sure it's Talisman.
I think it's Talisman is the first one I've played with Steve.
Oh, that's a really difficult one.
And also, Steve, have you got the deep stats on your BG?
No, because the BGG stats at the time wouldn't have said who I played it with. It's only when BG Stats app came out that I did that. So I wasn't recording that back then.
I think one of the first I played with Sid, I think, was Cavern Tavern with you, Steve.
No, I've not played Cavern Tavern.
Yeah, you didn't like it.
You did. We played Cavern Tavern and we played Scottish one at the same day.
Scottish one, what, Macbeth?
No, not the Clans of Caledonia.
Oh, Terraforming Scotland.
Yes.
Yes, we did.
We played that, yeah. So I think one of them two is your first game, Sid.
Well, if it is, I don't remember that whole day. Because I don't think I'd played either of those two games.
The first one I played with Andy would have been at Worcester Games Night, but I can't for the life of me remember at what point you joined us and what game it would have been.
I have a feeling one of the first games I played with you was probably Star Wars Rebellion. Or possibly BSG. Because that would have been at Worcester.
Could have been.
Or maybe Game of Thrones, where there was a minor incident.
Yeah, I wondered if it was that, but I have a funny feeling that was like the second or third week you came along we did that.
It might have been Mansions, but I can't remember.
It probably would have been something random that somebody else had brought that I just cannot remember.
Yes.
Do you know what? I think Eldritch Horror, or Arkham Horror, sorry, might have been one of the first I played with both of you two.
Okay.
Oh, that's a point, yes. Because I played Arkham second with you, Steve, quite a long time ago. But I can't remember how long ago, so...
It's funny you say that, because that's our first game, Sid, is Eldritch Horror.
Is it?
Eldritch Horror, I went round to Steve's house. There was you, me, I think it was Derek that joined us. Yeah. And my lasting memory is Steve passed me a giant bowl of popcorn and crisps, and I just dove into it and sent popcorn flying all over the table. And you just burst out laughing, just went, "You're an animal, Rory, you're an animal."
Nice.
But I can't remember. I think, other than D&D, I don't know whether we played D&D first, Steve and Andy.
Yeah, we did.
And then we progressed to actually meeting in person and playing games. But I can't for the life of me.
So the first one I've got recorded on BG Stats is The Reckoners, but I'm pretty sure that's not the first game I played.
Way.
That's way later.
I don't know whether we met and played games at one of the expos.
Maybe, because you would have been board meetings back then.
I would have been board meetings before I joined PHC. I would have
I
been
think
moonlighting.
it probably was. It would have been something at Expo, like some random demo that none of us can remember.
Because we did play Ragusa together. Maybe it was Ragusa.
Yeah, you really enjoyed. I know it was Venice that you didn't like, wasn't it?
Yes, it was Venice. Venice I did very badly at.
You did, yes. To the point where they actually introduced the Rory rule.
Yeah, but they didn't
You
call it
influenced
that.
the board gamer.
They didn't call it that. They just call it, was it the Doge card or something like that?
Something like that, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think the honest answer to this question is we can't remember.
No, it's that long ago. We can't remember.
No, it's because we're gentlemen of a certain age, right?
Yeah.
And we can't remember what we had for breakfast this morning.
Do you know what? I
In
don't
all
think
honesty,
I can.
Sid, I don't think any one of us. You'd have to have a photographic memory to remember this far back with things. Because I tell a lie, the first game I've got on record on BG Stats with Rory was Gloomhaven in 2019. So we must have played games before that, because I'm pretty sure I was late to the BG Stats party as well.
Yes. I certainly was.
Yeah. So with that rambling old man nonsense,
What a way to end it.
what a way! End it on a high, yeah, boys. End it on a high. Keep them wanting more.
It's like four confused old duffers sitting around not knowing what the hell they're talking about.
Day, I remember I played.
We can actually give you a little before we go, kind of
Let's do it.
hint about what we're going to do next week.
PHC in
Because-
organised shocker.
Big and organised shot, because me and Rory played Kuna Hora this last week.
Yeah, we did.
Oh.
And we want to talk about it in the podcast, and we want to play it a bit more
Yeah.
because we were rather enamoured with it after one
Ooh,
game.
there's a cat being
and
poked
we're,
out of a bag there.
Yeah.
and we're hoping that it's not just a one-trick wonder.
No.
So in the next episode, we'll be talking Kuna Hora, which is the latest game from Czech Games Edition on CGE. And yeah, something to look forward to that.
Nice.
Until then, thank you very much for listening. We have been Polyhedron Collider. Please give us a review on iTunes or your podcast platform of choice. We are all over the internet at the moment. We're always doing loads of stuff on Facebook and Instagram. We're also on X, Threads, and BGG Guild 2726. If you want to help the show, want to help us do things, drop us a like or a comment on Facebook. We've had some absolutely brilliant, typical Polyhedron Collider fan messages the other day. Someone told us, I like Scouts, so sod you. And I thought that was... I can't remember. Sorry, whoever wrote that. I can't remember who you were off the top of my head, but that's the kind of thing we expect.
Abuse, basically.
Abuse.
Abuse.
But until next time, happy gaming.
It's all right.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye.